will not be removed. In a related development,
the fact that, let me start by stating the fact that we did make a provision in the 2022 budget for fuel subsidy for January 22. And that suggests that from July there will be no subsidy. And this provision was made sequel to the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act that has made a provision that all products will be deregulated. Subsequent to the passage of the act, we went back and amended the fiscal framework that was submitted to National Assembly to incorporate this demand. But after the budget was passed, and we have had consultations with a number of stakeholders, it became clear that the timing is problematic, that practically there is still heightened inflation, and also removal of subsidy will further worsen the situation, thereby imposing more difficulties on the citizens. And Mr. President clearly does not want to do that. So what we have to do now is to deal with the discussions that were made in terms of putting in place a number of measures, one of which is the deployment of an alternative to the PMS, which is the CND, and also the rollout of enhanced refining capacity in the country, including the 650,000 barrels per day Dangote refinery, and also the rehabilitation of the 4 national refineries that have a combined nameplate capacity of 450,000 barrels per day. The increased refining capacity in the country means we will need to import less products. But also, as we're discussing right now within the executive the possibility of amending the budget, we may need to come back to the National Assembly by way of amendment to make additional provision for fuel subsidy from July 2022 going forward, or whatever period is agreed is the right timing. So,
very clear. It is clear to the blind and audible to the deaf that it is not possible at this time for us to remove the subsidy. We know that some naysayers, some political people will try to make political capital out of it, but it is not within the contemplation now of this administration to remove subsidy. But of course, if there are legislative enablers that will also ensure that it is within the law, then I think it's a legislative responsibility.
All in search of ways and means of ensuring that ordinary Nigerian does not suffer any hardship, that when the subsidy will be removed, eventually it will be at such a point at which the hardship will be very minimal and would have been taken care of by several programs or projects or empowerments. And it's not about NLC. NLC, how many people are NLC or TUC? We are talking about every Nigerian, and NLC is just an organized part of the system. But we are concerned beyond the NLC. And I'm taking this opportunity to appeal to TUC and NLC to share this plan to go on strike or demonstration is totally unnecessary. There is not going to be removal subsidy, so there is no need for this. Please, let's not create unnecessary tension where there should be none at all. So,
in a related development, a senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, has urged the federal government to drop the plan to remove subsidy on petroleum products. In a statement today, Falana described the planned subsidy removal as anti-people, even as he advised the federal government to petition the plan in the public interest. It will be recalled that the National Economic Council, after its meeting, announced that it will take a decision on petroleum subsidy removal in June, when the 6-month period for subsidy payment in the 2022 budget lapses. The National Executive Council said it has no role in determining the price of petroleum products in the country. However, in a statement, the former head of state, Abdulsalami Abubakar, has warned that the federal government against removing the subsidy, saying it will worsen poverty in the country. Also, the national president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Samson Ayokunle, called on the federal government to engage relevant stakeholders before its final decision on the removal of oil subsidy.
As you all know and are aware, the issue of subsidy has been one matter that NEC has deliberated on for more than a year now. There was an ad hoc committee which was set up by NEC, headed by Governor El-Rufai, that included members of the executive arm of government, that worked on recommendations as to what we should do about the cost of PMS locally, because as you realize, as has been told us, the cost of PMS in Nigeria today is about 162 naira for a liter, whereas every other country surrounding Nigeria is selling the same product at more than 100% of the cost in Nigeria. And the country, as at last year, spent in excess of almost, I'll say spent about, we need to have the figures, the exact figures, but we must have spent almost 2 trillion naira subsidizing petroleum products. That is money that could have gone into building roads, money that would have gone into healthcare and education. So for NEC, the arguments have been put out, should we continue this regime of spending money we do not have to subsidize the living standards of mostly those who have vehicles too? And when NEC looked at some of the analysis last year, we then realized that less than 1/3 of the states of this country consume 2/3 of the subsidy. So the issue of equity also came up. All of these findings were presented to NEC, and NEC has had several deliberations, and the deliberations are still ongoing. So no, NEC hasn't come up with any decision yet. I think recommendations have also been made to the president. That's what I am aware of has, transpired so far.
And I think, Excellency, in addition to that, what you have to understand, we didn't make any presentations on this because there has not been a decision. But in reality, all of us Nigerians know that there is now the Petroleum Industry Act, and NNPC has now become, a limited liability company. So NNPC will run differently. So if the Ministry of Finance, provides for 6 months, you probably can understand part of the reason for provision of 6 months is before NNPC fully takes off. And at that moment, that's when decisions will be made. But I want to make the correction that it is not governors who are making recommendations. It is actually a NEC committee, which comprises of all the other people that are looking at this, and no decision has been made. And probably by the time a decision will be made, the Petroleum Industry Act has fully taken charge, and it will not require any recommendation from anybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Following this development, IBR's Johnson Oyebandi on today's edition of People's Forum takes a look at the impacts and effects of the proposed removal of subsidy on petroleum on the current economic realities of the nation.
The fact is, the subsidy removal from the government of this particular country is a cheat. I don't have any belief in that, because they have been saying all this kind of a thing, and even this is not going to be the first time they will do those kind of a thing. They have been doing it and they have done it. So all the promises they made that time, it's also implemented. They said if the removal of the subsidy, if they remove something on it, maybe there's going to be a kind of infrastructure, there's going to be improvements in so many things. And at the end of everything, at the end of it all, you couldn't see anything. If now they should now remove it now, this particular people that tell lies to the nation, that tell lies to the people of the country, are they going to make use of the money if they should remove it? So I don't see anything better in this removal of this subsidy. It's a scam. I don't have any belief in it.
With the current situation in Nigeria now, it is not the best thing to do now. You understand? Because things has been somehow, let's say, good. We should not say the other way. And people are like struggling to live. So then planning to or making a purpose of removing the subsidy now is kind of adding to the suffering on ground, because things will be more harder. You understand? So it's not something advisable to do.
I feel if the government can manage it properly, it's the best thing to do, because the present amount of money they say they use in subsidizing petroleum is just on the high side. And if you look at what is happening in other countries of the world, even advanced countries, you pay people, somebody that can afford to buy a car, I don't think he should complain about buying petroleum. There are various other uses to which this money that are being used for subsidy could be put to use that would benefit the majority of Nigerians. I am in full support if the removal will be properly managed.
The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has announced that the registration for the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination and the Direct Entry Examination will commence on the 12th of February. The board made this known today in its weekly bulletin released by the Director of Public Relations, Fabian Benjamin. Benjamin noted that the registration for the examination will start from the 12th of February 2022 to the 19th of March. He also disclosed that a mock examination holds on 20th of April 2022, while the examination holds from 20th to 30th April. The board also revealed that it will refund the 4,000 naira deposit paid by candidates who failed to complete the registration process for the 2021 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination and the Direct Entry Examinations. Also speaking, the Director of Admissions for the board, Mohammed Ahmed, said the National Business and Technical Examinations Board Advanced Level Certificate is not acceptable as an entry requirement for direct entry into tertiary institutions. Ahmed said the directive becomes necessary following the discovery that relevant government policies on A-level programs do not permit NAPTEP from conducting advanced level examinations. He affirmed that henceforth JAMB will not process the admission of any candidate with NAPTEP A-level certificate. As Nigerians join the rest of the world to celebrate this year's International Day of Education, educationists have called for the overhaul of the sector. Speaking today at a one-day symposium, Professor Emeritus Pai Obaya called for the proper funding of the education sector. Anu Akomolafe completes the report.
The International Day of Education is a day set aside to promote the role of education, deliberate on the missing links, and redress the importance of education for the benefit of many generations to come. The theme of this year's International Day of Education is Changing Course, Transforming Education, and is targeted at reviving education. Education is listed in adequate funding, out-of-school children, teaching methodology, inadequate access to quality education, among others, as some of the challenges confronting the sector. Our Professor Emeritus from the University of Ibadan, Pai Obaya, expressed concern that people no longer value hard work, stressing that education is the only solution to the myriad of challenges confronting the nation.
Respect the elder because that person knows. In early colonial period, it is the person who is exceptional who was the teacher. So if your child misbehaved, you report it to the teacher. up to early independence, you selected the best. You come out of Aquinas College, Akure, you were the best, you started teaching there. But over the years, we have come not to respect anybody who is working. At my age, they say, Daddy, you are working too much. And I say, if I stop working, I will die.
In his words, the Vice-Chancellor, University of Ibadan, who was represented by Professor Ezekiel Ayola, harped on the need to properly fund education.
Attention, serious attention that it deserves, because we know that there's no nation in the whole world that can move forward while relegating their education to the background.
Also speaking, the chairman of Oyo State Subeb, Dr. Nureni Adeniro, said there should be democratization of education. He expressed concern that the target has not been able to achieve its goal of ensuring that every child is in the classroom.
The out-of-school children issue is being addressed. We have BESDA education service delivery for which is called BESDA. It is only being carried out in 17 states, of which Oyo State is the only one in the southwest. And if with that, we're trying to reduce the menace. But the point is that it cannot be totally eradicated because it's an ongoing phenomenon. You know, people continue to give birth to children. But if this issue of providing education for all is well established, then the issue of out-of-school children will be totally minimized, if not absolutely eradicated.
Other stakeholders called for more commitments to improving the education sector, stressing that there is a need to transform the current educational system.
Going by data all over the world right now, they said more than 528 million are out of schools. Children that are supposed to be in school are not in schools. And about 617 youth and adults are illiterates. And again, more than 40% of the girls in the African Sub-Sahara that pass through the school system are not able to complete. So what we are talking of inclusive education.
As the National Day of Education, the idea is to draw our attention to the importance of education in everything that we want to do. Everybody talks about education, everybody criticizes education without having a deeper understanding of what education is.
I know government is doing a lot, but it is not enough, is what we are saying. Let us do more. Let parents, particularly in my own city, Ibadan here, do more. Let them not throw the responsibility of educating their children to government alone.
Education is a passport to individual empowerment. It is the reason for not enslaving one, but unwinding individuals and the community.
The theme of the event is Changing Course, Transforming Education. Anu Akomalafe, IETV News.
The United Nations Children's Fund says children with disabilities are majorly affected by the education crisis in Nigeria. This is as the group decried the education crisis bedeviling the country, noting that 1/3 of Nigerian children are not in school. In a statement today to mark the International Day of Education, the representative of the organization in Nigeria, Peter Hawkins, said Nigeria has the highest number of out-of-school children, which is put at 10.5 million. Hawkins disclosed that 1 in 5 out-of-school children in the world is from Nigeria. He further noted that children who are more likely to be affected by the education crisis include children with disabilities, children from poor households, or those affected by displacement or emergencies. UNICEF also welcomes Nigeria's move to allocate 7.2% of its 17 trillion naira 2022 budget to the education sector. Away from that, civil society organizations under the coalition of civil society groups have called on the All Progressives Congress, APC, and the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to zone the presidency of the country to the south ahead of the 2023 general elections. In a statement today, the national chairman of the group, Bassey Etok Williams, urged other accredited political parties in the country to follow suit in the interest of peace, unity, equity, and justice. Williams also urged them to work towards promoting, uplifting, and sustaining democracy, good governance, and national unity.
At this point in our political history, we deem it worthy to sacrifice and a patriotic display of love for the country if political parties jettison all other interests and ambition for peace, unity, and the stability of our democracy. It is important to note that we all desire a safe society, peaceful atmosphere, and an harmonious relationship for development and growth of the nation. Mr. PDP Chairman, sir, it is important to note that since the inception of civil rule in 1999, the country has witnessed zoning arrangement or political rotational presidency between the North and the South, just to keep the politics stable. There is no doubt that we are one united and have the same sense of compromise. This call becomes very necessary and obligatory for us as a nation to move forward. It is also sacrosanct for fairness' sake and for continuous unity of this great country called Nigeria. We are convinced that power should naturally rotate between the north and the southern region of this country. We also believe that it is a vowed commitment to this arrangement that we can stop the current ethno-religious division being experienced in the country. Our visit today, Mr. Chairman, of the People's Democratic Party is for us as civil society to lend our voice in support of the call for a power shift to the southern part of the country. We hereby urge great men and women, supporters of PDP, to heed to this patriotic call. The PDP, no doubt, has a great role to play in ensuring that we remain one united and divisible nation before and after 2023. It is on the strength of the above that we march here today in our thousands to submit our position paper on the imperative of a presidential candidate of the Southern Nigeria extraction come 2023 on the platform of the People's Democratic Party. On power rotation, all civil society stand.
I received this letter from the coalition of civil society groups with respect to Southern presidency. Well, as a party, you know our position of equity and fairness to all. In our last convention, we said the president can come from any part of the country. And this is an agitation, this is a call you are making. We are going to pass it to the party organs and to make sure that the right thing is done in fairness for all in Nigeria.
In the meantime, leadership has been termed as a responsibility and a position which must be occupied by the righteous and people with the fear of God. This is the position of the Osun State chapter of the Joint Muslims Action Forum for Muslim Leaders and Imams during a meeting in Osogbo. The stakeholders said religious leaders have literally turned religious careers centers only to a place of worship, whereas they should serve as avenue to remind themselves of their social and civic responsibilities as well as the nation building. They harped on the need to raise the political consciousness of the people and encourage them on the need to get themselves involved in the process of nation building.
Most of our leaders don't actually know what they're supposed to do in terms of leadership of the mosque. They have literally turned mosque to the venue of congregational salat alone, forgetting their social responsibility, their civic responsibility, the nation building aspect of the mosque, such that at the end of this meeting, every imam will go back and ginger their membership into how they can be useful member of the society, socially and politically.
We have come to bring the Muslim leaders, imams and the scholars together to have a retreat on the role of Muslim leaders in the political dispensation. And exactly what we said was that we have been playing a second fiddle role, which is not commensurate to the rights and privileges that we have. So we should be up and doing to play the normal role that is expected of us as Muslims to engender good governance and justice for all the citizens.
When the righteous, the Muslims, the Muslim leaders who understand what it is to be a leader, so amana, because it is responsibility. Leadership is responsibility. So we believe that. So when the Muslim leaders who understand that occupy the position or they mobilize their team followers to do so, so definitely we will have good governance. So we are getting it wrong because the righteous are going away from politics. So we want those who understand the responsibility to move closer to politics and participate in it.
The Miyetti Allah Kauta Hure says it will be easy for the All Progressives Congress presidential hopeful Bola Tinubu to win the hearts of Northerners in the 2023 election because he is well accepted in the region. Speaking with newsmen today, the spokesperson for the group, Saleh Alazan, said the organization will not endorse any presidential aspirants till after party primaries have been conducted and candidates have emerged. Alazan also said Nigeria's next president can emerge from either the southern or northern part of the country. He affirmed that the Fulani communities are now being enlightened on the 2023 general elections. Electricity consumers on the Laulukpon feeder today staged a protest against the high tariff and epileptic power supply experienced in the community. The protest, which was held at the monitoring office of the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company, harped on the need for a new substation and steady power supply in the area. Taiwo Olanrewaju was there. He completes the report.
The Laulukpon Electricity Feeders Consumers Day staged a protest against the high electricity tariff and epileptic power supply experienced in the community. The protest, which was held at the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company, Monitor branch, was up on the need for a new substation and steady power supply in the area. Speaking with Impa News Crew, the Oyo State coordinator of the Campaign for Democratic and Workers' Rights, Comrade Abiodun Bangui, said the essence of the protest is to give support to residents of the Laulukpon and Yano Church area. Bangui lamented the outrageous estimated billings by the distribution company and the categorization of Nigerians under different electricity bands. He said Nigerians should be put in same bands with regular supply of electricity.
They have been paying for lights for years, and what they get in return is darkness. The imposition of estimated billing by RBDC is a violation of the agreement signed when they were buying over this company. And what is that agreement? The IBDC signed an agreement that once they buy over PACN, then that all electricity consumers in Nigeria will be metered free of charge within 18 months. Here we are, over 10 years, since they have taken over, the control and the ownership of PACN. Instead, they are imposing estimated billing on them. So we are using this opportunity to say that there must be an end to the imposition of outrageous, crazy estimated billing.
Bangui also decried the failed privatization of the electricity distribution company, adding that such is unacceptable.
The situation has gone from bad to worse, and that's why we are saying that privatization is a failure, is a fiasco. And what are we saying? The federal government should renationalize the power sector and place its control under that of the workers who work in the company and the community people. That is the only way that can guarantee effective operation of the power sector in Nigeria.
On his part, the chairman of the community, Jide Kehinde, said the members of the community are tired of the epileptic power supply as they did not get what they paid for.
We are tired of IBEDC, and we told them, lock up your shop in this place because you cannot give us the service for which you are here. So lock it up. You are not giving us service, don't collect money from us. It's very simple. This is the office from where they are collecting all our money. But light is not getting to us. Will we continue to pay for darkness?
Concerned residents of the community also spoke their minds concerning the inability of the electricity distribution company to supply lights to the area.
The reason why we are here is to put an end to daylight robbery by IBDC and its officials, the management. They are aware, they know the problem. But I guess there's a lot of money they are cashing out from this problem.
Láàrin ọjọ́ márùn-ún tá a ná fífún àná yẹn tá a bá calculate ọjọ́ yẹn kóńtà ọjọ́ yẹn ò ní pé ọjọ́ kan tá a fi lóná nínú oṣù kan ṣoṣo. So inú oṣù kan ṣoṣo tí ó tọ́ ọjọ́ tí ọ̀pọ̀ ọjọ́ kan tí lọ́jọ́ márùn-ún tán náà fífún àná yẹn tí ọ̀pọ̀jọ́ kan so yẹn tá bá máa mú bíìlì wá wọ́n á tún mú estimated bíìlì wá fún wa pé ní tá a lò nìyẹn eléyìí tó ṣe pé for our own beneficiary la fi ń lo iná kó tó di pé IBDC àbí Azam tó jẹ́ kìrìsà mọ̀ ìjà wọn bí báyìí kó dé bí báyìí lálùpọ̀ fìdá ti ń lo iná eléyìí tó ṣe pé wọ́n fi iná lálùpọ̀ wọn búra wọn pé ó sojú rògbòdògbòdò bí iná lálùpọ̀ so nígbà tí Azam wá débẹ̀ tán iná yẹn padà sí bàjẹ́.
As at the time of filing this report, our correspondents could not speak with the representative of the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company. Taiwo Olarinwaju, ITV News.
Heads of local government administration in local government areas in Oyo State have begun receiving consolidated salary scales, which allow them to receive the same salary in their respective status as HLAs as pension after retirement. This was disclosed at a special meeting held by the State Commissioner for Information, Culture and Tourism, Wasiu Olatubosun, with the heads of local government administration and directors of education and social services in Ibadan. Olatubosun, while appreciating them for making the meeting a success, said the essence of the gathering is to integrate the machinery of the local government system to project the activities, policies and programs of the present administration in the state. He emphasized the need to collaborate with stakeholders at the grassroots towards the 2022 Omituntun Cultural Festival, where he said the monumental achievement of Seyi Makinde government will be beamed to the people. The commissioner ordered that projects embarked upon by the local government administrations will also include in the communication of developmental achievements of the government. A federal high court in Abuja has issued an arrest warrant against the former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Daisy Alison Madueke. Justice Bolaji Olajuwon granted the request after counsel to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Farouk Abdullahi, made an oral application. It will be recalled that the court had fixed the 3rd of November 2021 for the EFCC to give a report on its effort at extraditing Alison Madueke to the country to stand at trial and for possible mention of the case. But on the adjourned date, the case was told as neither Abdullahi nor Alison Madueke was on site. The EFCC had accused the former minister of fleeing the country for the United Kingdom in order to escape justice, among others. We'll go on a break now. News Round returns very shortly. Do stay with us.